All right, let's break this down completely. Tom Aspinall has officially shattered his silence and is firing back, and I mean hard, at every single one of his critics. And he didn't just put out some generic press release. Oh no. He went a step further and posted his actual official medical report online to completely shut down any and all speculation floating around. The diagnosis is incredibly serious, confirming that he's suffering from what's known as bilateral traumatic Brown syndrome. And just so we're all on the same page about what that actually means, the doctors found what they described as significant orbital soft tissue trauma, and on top of that, a possible fracture of his right medial orbital wall. Let me be clear, this isn't some minor accidental eye poke we're talking about here. This is documented, severe, structural damage that absolutely clears up any lingering doubts about just how serious the injury he sustained in that fight really was.
Start training again.
Look, it's not up to me. It's up to the doctors. At the minute, I ain't allowed to do nothing, so I'm just following advice at the moment.
What's next?
What's next for me right now is there's talk of surgery on the eyes. We've got to see how it goes over the next few weeks. Obviously, that's down to the specialists and stuff, but I'm not in the gym training at the moment. I'm not doing anything MMA-wise at the moment. I'm just following the doctor's orders right now and seeing what happens with the health.
How do you sort of see this going forward for yourself with the UFC?
I think right now we just got to focus on the health, innit? We just got to get everything back to normal, follow the doctor's orders, and that's all I can control right now. So we'll cross that bridge when I'm feeling better and everything's right.
So, what does the immediate future hold for Tom Aspinall now? Well, he's making the absolute smartest move possible and has revealed that he is currently stepping completely away from all training activities to concentrate 100% on his health. This isn't some kind of vacation or a light break. It's a critical and necessary recovery period for a very serious injury. He even disclosed the very real possibility that he might need to undergo eye surgery to correct the damage. He emphatically stressed that for the time being, his absolute top priority is his recovery and making sure he's in the best possible condition to move forward in his life and career. Aspinall laid it out perfectly, explaining that all the other stuff, questions like when he'll finally return to the gym or what his future fight plans might be, all of that will be addressed, but only after his health has significantly improved. He's wisely taking things one crucial step at a time, which is exactly what anyone with an injury this severe should be doing.
That's when I really got the gist of what's going on. The guy was trying to poke my eyes out all the way through that round. Multiple exchanges, nearly every exchange that I could put him in danger. He had his fingers out pointing towards my eyes. The guy was cheating from the first second. And the way that he wanted to win that fight was to have me compromised by cheating. My thoughts on him, I think he's a big cheater. Look at all his fights. Even Jon Jones himself, even the GOAT himself said before he fought him that Rogan's a cheater and uses dirty tactics.
And you know what? Other fighters are definitely taking notice of just how serious this is. Wade Plemons reacted to Tom Aspinall's medical report with what you can only describe as genuine, palpable concern, calling the entire situation far more serious than anyone, and he included himself in this, initially realized. He then had a very direct message for anyone out there accusing Tom of quitting or faking the injury, telling them flat out that they need to seriously reconsider their position. And why is that? Because, as Plemons points out, if the diagnosis is truly Brown syndrome, this might not even be something that can be fully fixed. In his expert opinion, an issue of this magnitude could severely limit Tom's ability to compete at an elite level and could potentially put his entire fighting career at risk. Wade Plemons did not mince his words, saying, "Holy shit, this is serious." For all the people that said Tom was a quitter or faking it, if he really has Brown syndrome, I don't know if that can even be resolved. And that severely hampers him fighting to the point that his fighting career is essentially over. But that's not all. On top of that, Tom Aspinall is also pointing fingers, directly accusing Cyril Gane of fighting dirty and claiming that the eye poke was absolutely no accident. He explained that after meticulously rewatching the fight footage, everything became painfully clear to him. He noted that throughout the round, Gane was repeatedly extending his fingers directly toward his eyes, especially whenever he felt he was put in any kind of danger. Aspinall argued that this wasn't some isolated, one-off moment, but a clear pattern of illegal behavior, insisting that Gane was actively trying to compromise him through illegal tactics. He even brought up the sport's GOAT, Jon Jones mentioning that Jones himself had already warned people about Gaines' dirty habits long before their own fight ever happened.
Things need to change in the sport of MMA when it comes to fouls. I'm obviously very keen to get back and beat this guy up. I've got to be 100% right, so whenever the eye's good to go, that's when I'll do it. A lot of haters out there who are living some very sad lives, who think they're eye doctors. I'll double eye poke you full blast in the eyes and see if you can still write some grim comment on Instagram. You let me know, you tough guys out there.
This entire ugly incident has led Tom Aspinall to stress that the sport of mixed martial arts desperately needs some real, fundamental changes when it comes to handling fouls, especially these recurring and incredibly dangerous eye pokes. And let's be crystal clear about this, he absolutely wants a rematch with Sarl Gain, but he's making it known that he's only willing to step back into that cage when he is fully healthy and 100% recovered. He specifically noted that he has to get his eyes completely fixed before he can even begin to think about making a return to the octagon. He also took a moment to fire back directly at his critics online, pointing out the absurdity of how so many of them are suddenly acting like world-renowned eye specialists on social media, despite having absolutely no clue what he's actually dealing with on a complex medical level.
But looking back at it now, like, what do you do with eye pokes? It happened to me, and it happens to everybody. And the Nevada State Athletic Commission, they need to step up and say, automatic 1 point, second time you do it, disqualifications, like no more.
And you know who completely agrees with him on the need for change? None other than the legendary Henry Cejudo. That's right, Triple C is also out there demanding much tougher penalties for eye pokes, even going so far as to propose that repeat offenders should be outright disqualified from their fights. He laid out a pretty clear and straightforward suggestion for the Nevada State Athletic Commission to consider: implement an automatic point deduction for the very first offense, and then enforce an immediate disqualification if that fighter commits a second violation within the same bout. It's a tough, hardline stance for sure, but it's one that many fans and fighters feel is long overdue in a sport where eye safety is becoming a bigger issue.
Tom bloodied up, and Tom didn't want to continue in the fight, so who gives a...
What do you think about Dana White saying Tom didn't continue? And then also, who gives it to eye pokes?
Well, listen, I didn't continue. I'll tell you why I didn't continue. Because I'm not a dummy. Like, I'm not going to go out there and fight one of the best strikers in the world if I can't see.
With double vision.
With any eye. As an MMA fighter, look, things are going to happen in the fight that compromise you. Go back and watch my fight with Arlovski. The end of the first round, he punched me right in the eyeball.
Final 20 seconds of the first round. Oh! Big right from Arlovski.
For the rest of that fight, I couldn't see him out that eye. That's fine. If you get punched or kicked in the eye, that's fine.
Meanwhile, Tom Aspinall reacted very strongly to Dana White's comments, which suggested that he simply didn't want to continue the fight. Aspinall went on the record to explain that his decision had absolutely nothing to do with fear and everything to do with basic, fundamental safety. He clarified the obvious: he simply could not continue to fight one of the world's best and most dangerous heavyweights, while dealing with severe double vision. Let's be real here for a second. In a sport as brutal as MMA, having a compromised vision can lead to incredibly dangerous, career-altering situations. And frankly, it was a risk that he was not and should not have been willing to take.
Double eye poked in both eyes and you've got no vision because of a foul. Why should I carry on so some dummy can look and say, oh yeah, Tom just got knocked out? Because I ain't going to fight if I can't see anything because of a foul. If it's a little illegal move, we have to fight through it. That's what we do as fighters. But when it's a foul, why am I going to put my health at risk when I can't see at all?
So you're not too happy then on what the president of the organisation is saying towards it?
Well, what do you think?
Tom didn't want to continue in the fight, so...
Look, we all know who is at fault here. What the are you talking about, huh?
Digging even deeper into that very point, Tom Aspinall really wanted to drive the message home that his decision was entirely about his health and safety, full stop. He vividly explained that taking devastating eye pokes in both of his eyes left him effectively unable to see properly, and trying to continue fighting under those conditions would have been nothing short of reckless. Aspinall emphasized that while fighters are often expected to be tough and push through minor fouls and general discomfort, when a serious foul completely compromises your ability to see, risking your long-term health and well-being becomes completely unreasonable. You could almost feel his frustration that the president of the organization, of all people, seemed to misrepresent the situation so badly, with Aspinall insisting that it was abundantly clear to anyone watching who was actually at fault for the fight being stopped.
Being poked in the eye is illegal, Brendan, but to fight with one eye is very common. The opponent's trying to hit your eye. He's trying to bust up and make your nose bleed. So that part of it does have question for guys like Anthony and I. We're trying to be polite. We're trying to show grace. But in all fairness, if you're the heavyweight champion of the world, you got to fight with one eye at a time.
But of course, there's always a different, and in this case, a more controversial perspective. The ever-outspoken Chael Sonnen chimed in, and he thinks Tom Aspinall should have continued fighting despite the eye poke from Cyril Gane. He argues from a very old-school tough-it-out standpoint, saying that fighting with impaired vision is just part of the sport, especially for a heavyweight who is expected to be able to endure and adapt to incredibly difficult circumstances inside that cage. In Chael's world, the solution is simple. You bite down hard on your mouthpiece, and you just keep going, no matter what the injury is.
I felt like the fight was going okay. It was going pretty much to plan. I think that, look, there was this big notion in the media before that I'm just going to run through Rogan. Look, I might look like an idiot. Sometimes I might even talk like an idiot. But when it comes to fighting, I know what I'm talking about. And I know that Cyril Gane is a tough matchup for me. Really good defensively. I knew that if we want to break the fight down a little bit, Cyril's got really good defense. He moves really, really well on his feet. I knew that I have to stand in range and take a few punches from Cyril to be able to land my own shots. I thought it was going to be a 5-round fight. Go and look at my pre-fight stuff. I knew this was going to be a long and tough fight.
Tom Aspinall also had a direct response for another group of people. For the fans all over social media who were claiming that he was already losing the fight to Cyril Gane even before the foul occurred, he aggressively pushed back on that entire narrative. He insisted that the fight was actually going exactly according to his game plan. He explained that his strategy was to intentionally stay in range, absorbing some of the punches from Gane on purpose. The goal, he said, was specifically to create the openings he needed to land his own powerful, fight-ending shots. In his mind, and in the minds of his corner, everything was unfolding just as he and his team had envisioned it would.
Gets hurt, it's like he's like immediately incapacitated.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately.
He shut down.
It's like you poke my eye and then he's like immediately, there's no like.
He never tried to look. It was rag on the eye immediately.
Dude, I would have been the silliest looking cat on national TV just
trying. He didn't try.
Trying.
He didn't try.
Same thing with Curtis Blades. When he hurt his knee, there was no limping, there was no trying to get up. It was just like immediately.
Yep.
Burn my village. I can't go on. Like,
he doesn't have the dog in him. Yeah, that killer to be killed.
Immediately quits.
Yeah.
When he got tapped out with an ankle lock, there was no trying to fight his hands. There were no trying to. He immediately quit.
You see the pattern of it.
Immediately.
Yeah. And I noticed the profile pic change, and then you had some on your horse too, similar.
Yeah.
What's with that?
I'm just having fun.
You having fun with the eye patches?
I'm having fun with it. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like, he had at it with me. He had a long time coming at me. So it's to keep the fans engaged.
On the other hand, it's been absolutely fascinating to see how many MMA pros who had earlier criticized Tom for quitting the fight are now completely changing their tune. Now that the official medical reports are public and the severity of the injury is undeniable, it's become crystal clear to almost everyone that Aspinall did the right thing by protecting his health. But you know who didn't miss this golden opportunity to take a shot? The one and only Jon Jones. He jumped right into the controversy to criticize Tom Aspinall's resilience. After the eye poke at UFC 304, he argued that Tom has a tendency to just fold the moment any real adversity hits him. He pointed to the Curtis Blades fight and even an earlier ankle lock defeat as prime examples of Aspinall shutting down instead of pushing through the pain and difficulty. As for that viral profile picture of a duck with an eye patch, Jones addressed it, describing it as just some harmless banter meant to entertain the fans after Tom had repeatedly called him out.
I'm going to tell you something about Jon Jones. Jon Jones is the most methodical fighter that ever stepped foot inside the UFC. His mind is totally different from ours. He knows exactly what he's doing when he does it. He knows exactly what he's doing. I know he trains that shit. I know that's his defense mechanism. It is. It's when you're advancing on him, and you get
away so that you can't reach me. I got this
and
long arm, you can't reach me. You know,
and I can poke you in the eyes. He's doing it on purpose. He's done interviews about it.
And said he did it on purpose?
He said, yeah.
Stop. He ain't said that.
Yeah.
I want you to show me the interview. He said,
I saw a clip the other day. You can tell. You can look. And he said, and he said it might be illegal stuff like that, but he said, hey, it works. He does it on purpose. Trust me.
However, when it comes to Jon Jones and eye pokes, the legendary Rampage Jackson has a very, very different story to tell. He claims that Jones deliberately uses eye pokes not as an accident, but as a calculated and methodical defensive tactic. He describes Jones as one of the most strategic and analytical fighters in the history of the UFC, a man with a unique and highly intellectual approach to combat. Jackson goes so far as to explain that Jones actually practices the move intentionally, using it strategically whenever his opponents start to close the distance on him, effectively making the eye poke a planned and integrated element of his defensive arsenal.
I really have gotten to a point in fighting where I feel as if I'm in a position that I have a lot more to lose than to gain. That's just me being honest. That's not being a coward or whatever. That's just the truth. I'm almost 40 years old now in a combat sport, very physical sport.
Yeah.
I have to do things that make the right decision, you know, and fighting just to continue fighting doesn't make sense to me anymore. I feel as if I can earn money outside of punching people.
Yeah.
And to challenge myself in that way means more to me now than to fight again. But to be at the White House is the reason why I'm out of retirement. It has nothing to do with Aspinall or Pereira or anybody. It was the White House. The idea of being a part of something so historical means more to me than a few extra $1 million or another win in the win column.
Yeah.
It means the world to me.
Meanwhile, Jon Jones also decided to clarify exactly why he turned down a reported and absolutely massive $30 million offer to fight Tom Aspinall. He explained that now, at nearly 40 years old, he feels there's far more for him to lose than there is for him to gain by staying active in the sport. He put it very plainly, the risk just isn't worth the reward at this particular stage of his legendary career. Then, in a truly surprising twist, he revealed that his motivation for a return from retirement is primarily driven by the chance to visit the White House, not because of any specific matchup with Aspinall or even with Alex Pereira.
I've never been to the White House. I've had many opportunities to go and visit the White House. I've never taken anyone up on it, but to compete there, to warm up inside of the White House and to...
Yeah, we got through the Oval Axis. Yeah, that's right.
I think they said it would be on the South Lawn.
Yeah, I think you would walk out through the Oval Office into the South Lawn.
It would earn me some major points with my friends too. I'm friends with some of our country's top military veterans, and I know that they would find it to be very, very cool.
Yeah,
very, very cool. So for me, it's like some of my motivations aren't traditional anymore. You know, I don't think I care about what most fighters would care about.
Yeah,
most fighters wouldn't turn down $30 million. They just wouldn't do that.
Yeah,
my goals are different than other people's at these days.
Yeah,
and White House would be something for my personal bucket list that would just...
Elaborating further on that very point, Jon Jones explained that his personal motivations for fighting have completely changed, and they simply no longer align with what drives most of the other fighters in the game today. He openly admits that turning down a paycheck for $30 million would sound absolutely crazy to most people, and he gets that, but his priorities are just on a different level now. For him, the unique, once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to be at the White House is a personal milestone and a life experience that means far more to him than any amount of money or any single fight possibly could.
I said yes or no to anybody yet, but I can't put Jon Jones in a position where he can,
Right. You can't let this get canceled.
I had a deal with him. We had a deal to fight Tom Aspinall.
Really?
Oh. Yeah, we had a deal.
What happened? And he said, you know what? I'm not going to do it. He didn't want to do it. He didn't want to do it. Yeah. However, it seems that Dana White is not on the same page at all. The UFC president has made it crystal clear that Jon Jones will not be included on the UFC's prestigious White House card, especially not after he pulled out of the planned fight with Tom Aspinall. Dana said the agreement was already set and in place, but Jones ultimately chose not to follow through with his commitment. White stressed that for a landmark event like this, a truly historic moment for the company, he needs fighters who stick to their word, fighters who are reliable and can be absolutely trusted to show up and perform when the lights are brightest.
It's a more matter of legacy. What would make more sense?
Yep.
Do you fight the guy who is impressive right now, who no one, I don't think, is going to really care about a few years from now? Or do you fight the guy who's going to be remembered around the world for a very long time? I mean, in Brazil, Pereira is an absolute idol right now. Pereira, literally, one of the only things he says is trauma.
Yeah.
And people are, trauma! No one even knows what it means.
Yeah.
But he has that it factor, and that's a part of the reason why I wanted to compete against Pereira. The brand that he represents, the energy that he has behind him, will be remembered more than just 5 years from now.
Yeah.
For example, Aspinall just had a close fight, and people are already writing him off.
Yeah.
Circling back to the topic of potential opponents, Jon Jones did explain why he prefers a fight with Alex Pereira over one with Tom Aspinall, and it all boils down to one powerful word: legacy. He wants a matchup that will be remembered and talked about for decades to come, not just a fight that looks good on paper in the current moment. In his view, Pereira is a legitimate national icon in Brazil, a fighter who possesses a rare aura and a kind of star power that creates a lasting historical impact. Jones contrasts this with other fighters who, even after putting on competitive and exciting performances, are often forgotten by the fans within just a few short years. He believes Pereira's presence and influence will remain significant long into the future.
What could have been if Tom Aspinall goes out there and wins? What happens to his career after that? That's the Jon Jones potential fight at the White House. Like, there's so much that Tom missed out on because of that. It's super unfortunate, sad, and it would have made the heavyweight division it would have made it a lot more fun. I mean, the whole division's been so crazy with Jon Jones. You know, he defended an interim belt, Tom Aspinall. It's like, what do you? I mean, Jon Jones is done. Alex Pereira, he's probably not moving up to heavyweight. Like, you just rematch that fight. You know, the crowd was insanely loud, so it was like, I guess it was a big fight, but do you watch it again? Do you make that fight again? Jon doesn't want to fight Tom. Alex doesn't want to fight Tom. Man, yeah, I don't even know what you do with that fight. I think Dana said he's going to make a rematch.
Furthermore, Sugar Sean O'Malley weighed in on the situation, and he said he felt genuinely sorry for Tom Aspinall. After the eye poke prematurely ended the fight, he believes the entire incident completely robbed Tom of a huge, career-defining opportunity. He started to imagine how different things could have been if Tom had won that night, possibly setting up a massive legacy-defining fight with none other than Jon Jones and bringing a whole new wave of energy to the heavyweight division. O'Malley reflected on just how unpredictable the division has become now, wondering what direction it would even take next, since both Jones and Alex Pereira didn't seem particularly interested in facing Aspinall. He admitted the whole situation has left more questions than answers about what's coming next for the big boys.
I was as disappointed as anybody else. And I think at first, I really was kind of on the side of, man, Tom, like, come on, you got to step up. This is a main event, this heavyweight title. Take as much time as you need, but get back in there. I think when I saw the poke and how bad it was and the fact that it compromised both eyes, it was ugly. And you're right, that only Tom Aspinall really knows. Could he have continued? And I think I talked to a few people about this, and somebody brought up a really good point to me that let's say that he could kind of see, but it was not great 100%. And you're in there with a guy like Cyril Gane, who's on point. He's on point. You haven't been in the octagon in a really long time. And now you're compromised. And even if you maybe can continue, you know, I think there was a part of it that was like, I'm not fighting this guy with not 100%.
And here's another interesting shift in perspective that really shows how serious this injury was. Paul Felder also admitted that he was initially frustrated by the eye poke, and in the heat of the moment, he thought Tom Aspinall should have continued fighting in the heavyweight title fight. However, once he saw the true severity of the injury and came to realize that both of Aspinall's eyes were seriously affected, his entire perspective shifted dramatically. He explained that only Aspinall truly knew how compromised his vision was, and he emphasized that facing a precise, lethal striker like Cyril Gane with limited sight would have been extremely and unnecessarily risky. He ultimately concluded that stopping the fight was, without a doubt, the smartest and safest decision Aspinall could have possibly made for his career and his long-term health. And that pretty much wraps up today's video, and hopefully you enjoyed this deep dive into all the drama and fallout from this crazy situation. We really want to know what you think, so let us know all your thoughts down in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that like button if you got some value out of this, and of course, subscribe for more daily MMA updates and reactions. We'll see you in the next one.